One of the most eagerly awaited scenes in HBO's adaptation of George R.R. Martin's Fire and Blood is Criston Cole's death in House of the Dragon. Criston Cole's narrative is essentially identical to the Dance of the Dragons, as he rises from a Stormland knight to Lord Commander of the King's Guard and ultimately Hand of the King. Cole, who had formerly been Rhaenyra's companion and lover, found it difficult to comprehend that the princess would not flee with him. Cole became more allied with those opposed to Rhaenyra in what would eventually turn into a civil war after Rhaenyra wed Ser Laenor Velaryon. Criston the Kingmaker was the knight who crowned Aegon II, and hence the war's initiator. Cole was an especially dislikable character because of his activities, even if the majority of the House of the Dragon characters chose a side throughout the fight. Even though Rhaenyra owed Cole nothing, the knight made sure to take action against her and her kids whenever he could after she turned down his offer. Criston Cole swiftly made his way onto the list of the least likable A Song of Ice and Fire characters, thanks to petty things like teaching Alicent Hightower's sons to battle Rhaenyra's kids and the crowing of Aegon II. So how Criston Cole dies in the novel. In Fire and Blood, Ser Criston Cole goes to Harrenhal with 4,000 men in order to take back the castle. However, Daemon Targaryen's army has already advanced to the west in opposition to Jason Lannister and his Greens supporting Bannerman. Daemon realized that this was the ideal moment for him and Rhaenyra to seize King's Landing because he knew that Ser Criston and Aemond were moving to Harrenhal. Far from King's Landing and under the Black's burned earth technique, Ser Criston's supplies are quickly running out due to the challenging resupply situation caused by the charred soil and tainted waters. Because of this situation, he and Prince Aemond Targaryen quarreled about what to do next. In the end, Aemond decided to mount Rhaegar and destroy the Riverlands, while Ser Criston decided to meet Lord Ormond Hightower's army at the Reach. However, the Rivermen and Northmen attacked Ser Criston's militia south of the God's Eye, a large portion of which had been lost to sickness, deserters, and attacks. Ser Criston Cole has a parley with the leaders of the Black's armies, especially Ser Pade of Longleaf, Ser Garibald Grey, and Lord Roderick Dustin of Barrowden, since his forces are rapidly weakening. As soon as they encountered the enemy, the Hand of the King realized that he and his men were dead. Ser Criston tries to negotiate a surrender with the Three Blacks so that his troops would survive, but he is turned down. Ser Criston then offers to engage all Three Blacks in single combat, which they also reject, citing his ability as a swordsman as justification. Ultimately, on Pate's instructions, Robb Rivers and 2 other bowmen kill Ser Criston Cole by shooting him 3 times, once in the stomach, once in the neck, and once in the chest. Longleaf said that he was talking to a corpse. Put differently, Criston Cole was never given a chance. Following that, the host of the Blacks massacred the last of the Green's men, coining the term Butcher's Ball for the event. One of the Blacks' biggest victories is ultimately Ser Criston's head, which is severed from his body, put on a spear, and brought to the First Battle of Tumbleton as a display. Even though Rhaenyra's situation would only worsen, Criston Cole's passing was significant as it meant that she had at last assumed the Iron Throne and that the Kingmaker and the Kinslayer had unintentionally stepped into Daemon's trap. Now back to the show. How will Criston Cole die in House of the Dragon? One of the final significant occasions in the Dance of the Dragons is the Butcher's Ball, which happens soon after Rhaenyra conquers King's Landing. Nevertheless, even though Rhaenyra was seated on the Iron Throne and knew that Aegon's hand had died, she understood that the conflict would not end until both Aegon and Aemond were still alive. That being said, it's reasonable to assume that Criston Cole will die in Season 3 of House of the Dragon, presuming the show would take 4 seasons to cover the full The Dance of the Dragons. But there are a few important things that must occur first. First of all, Aemond and Criston Cole don't march to Harrenhal until after Rhaenys Targaryen nearly kills King Aegon in combat. Aemond assumes the role of protector of the realm, while Criston continues to serve as the Hand of the King, as a result of Aegon and his dragons suffering. Aemond said that killing Daemon was the simplest method to overcome Rhaenyra. For this reason, he marches to Harrenhal with Searston, the place where Rhaenyra's husband had settled. But before Cole's army could move, Daemon and his allies moved, allowing the Blacks to ambush the Greens. And now the talk of the heart: why it will be so satisfying to see Criston Cole lose. There were a number of unlikable characters on Game of Thrones, such as Joffrey Baratheon and Ramsay Bolton, whose demise fans eagerly anticipated. Similarly, House of the Dragon, whose most unlikable character is probably Criston Cole, is comparable. Though Ser Criston's activities are mostly motivated by his hate of Rhaenyra, it's hard to find any other explanation for his behavior in A Song of Ice and Fire books, which are sadly lacking in traditional heroes and villains. If Cole had ever really loved Rhaenyra, his actions would have been much worse. This is why it will be so pleasant to see him die a non-heroic, unceremonious death. After portraying Criston Cole as a nice knight who would always aid Rhaenyra in the first half of Season 1, actor Fabian Frankel does a fantastic job of making the character look cold and unlikable. The character's reception was also influenced by Criston and Alicent's connection, which gave his treachery a deeper meaning. Criston Cole's death is a pivotal point in Fire and Blood and will undoubtedly have an equally significant effect on House of the Dragon viewers. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. See you soon.